To those in Africa, in the Middle East, in Asia, and in South America, please hear this. We were told stories. We were raised in shadows. We were born into the same machinery that took from you. We were told that you were dangerous, that you were backward, and that you needed saving. And while bombs fell on your cities, screens in our homes told us it was justice. We didn't know. Not because the truth was absent, but because the truth was buried. Layer upon layer of propaganda, schooling, news feeds, speeches, until even compassion was trained to look the other way. We were not the architects. We were not the generals. We were not the corporations that carved your land and drained your rivers. But we, the ordinary people of the West, were made to believe it was for freedom, for safety, and for progress. But we see now, and we say this, it was never our will. It was never the will of the majority. We were lied to, manipulated, and enlisted in an empire without our consent. The same empire that looted your lands, looted our minds. And together, we are breaking the spell.
Now that we know that you are not part of the problem, you guys are also finding out, and yeah. And then what's next? No, because I love it. I love it when they get to realize that they are very much privileged. You know, they're very much privileged because their ancestors, their forefathers made a plan for them by enslaving and torturing Black people. So I love to see it when they actually come out and realize how much privileged they are. But, okay, now that you know, what are you doing to fight the problem?
You cannot discover a place that already has people living there. To the guy who said Africa was discovered by Europeans, let me teach you something. You don't discover a place where millions of people already lived, traded, built kingdoms, and developed complex systems long before Europeans touched African soil. When Vasco da Gama arrived in 1497, he didn't find wilderness. He found cities, he found the Swahili coast, Kilwa, Mombasa, Mapungubwe, civilizations trading with India and China centuries earlier. Only thing Europe discovered was its own greed. You didn't discover Africa. You invaded it. You renamed it. You redrew the borders. You enslaved and colonized. That doesn't sound like discovery. It sounds like theft. Why do we still believe this lie? Because history is taught from the perspective of the thief, not the victim. And that is why your textbooks lie.
They told us wars were for freedom. They told us bombs were for peace. They told us enemies rose in deserts, never in boardrooms. They told us Vietnam was about dominoes, Iraq was about weapons, and Afghanistan was about justice. They told us the banks were safe, recessions were accidents, and bailouts were for stability. They told us food was tested for our health, sugar was harmless, and the chemicals in the soil were progress. They told us nuclear was only for light bulbs. They said surveillance was only for terrorists and that privacy is outdated. They told us globalization would lift all boats. They told us work would always have dignity. They told us progress meant prosperity. They said democracy means choice. They said leaders represent us. They told us votes outweighs money. They told us climate deals would save the planet. They told us targets are being met. And they told us the system was under control. And we believed. We believed because trust was trained into us. We believed because the truth was buried beneath noise.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. My name is Matkonda Esther. If you're new here, hi, welcome. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, like, comment, and share. Let me know what you think in the comment section about why people finding out that, yeah, we were enslaved. Okay, their forefathers did A, B, C, D to Black people and everything, and they are sorry. There's nothing they can do about it. You know, they did not ask for this. They wish they could do better. Yes, you can do better. See, the only thing that can possibly happen so Black people can feel a little bit of lightness on their chests is for Black people to have the same privileges. Clear cut, period. There's nothing more. Okay? Yeah. the way you walk around the streets, and you know, you don't have to worry, because you know, let me say this. In Africa, when a white person walks around, even in the most dangerous places, they will fear doing something to that person. They could probably rob them a little bit, you know, but like, they wouldn't do the most. They would actually fear doing bad. Because you know, we think, we've grown up knowing that when an American, white, or European, French, any white person, whenever anything bad happens to them, their government will make sure they hunt you to DEATH. So we know never to mess with them. So we know never to mess with what? To them. That's how much it is embedded in us. To respect you guys, to see you as superior, to see you as a higher deserving skin tone. You are more of human beings than black people. Yeah, we've also been groomed that way. We've been raised that way. See, unfortunately, we still have education that you guys wrote for us. And until today, right now, as I speak, there are thousands of schools right now, millions of schools in Africa right now that are studying, that are white people, saviors. They saved Africa. They did Africa favor to colonize it. You know, everything that they did bad to black people deserved it, and everything they stole and the colonization, they were doing us a favor. The way he just said it. And okay, now that you know, do we have movements of white people around the world going like, we need to decolonize our minds as white people? I need to see a movement like that. I need to see it. Give me a movement, white people movement, that says stop the privilege. Give me a white people movement that says no more to stealing from the countries we colonized. I need a movement that says we are paying back what we stole from you. I need a movement that says we did you wrong and we're now paying for reparations. I need a movement from those white people that actually feel like, oh my God, you guys, we've done you wrong so bad. You need to forgive us. Like, for real, for real. Yeah, I need a movement. I don't want words. I don't want words. Because you know what? Black people, African people, every time they've needed a revolution, a change, they've had to stand up and stand firmly and do whatever it takes. They've lost lives to make sure something changes. So for the people that think that they want a change, they also realize that, you know, their brothers and sisters, the black people, are not living good because of what their forefathers did. I need you to start a movement. Simple as that. Let's fill up New York City, the streets of Chicago, Washington, D.C. I need you at the White House saying we have been lied to by our forefathers, and that stops today. Yeah, I need you to call all your fellow white people and actually start a movement and actually make it work, and, you know, make sure people of color in your country are being paid more than you. You know, when they enter a store, people don't think they will steal. I need you to make sure. Until that's done, unfortunately, it's just words. To me, it's just words that are vague, and you're still going to be living the luxurious life that your ancestors created for you at a cost of people losing their lives. Anyway, you guys, let me know what you think in the comment section. But for me, yeah, such words don't move me. Such words don't move me at all, because I'm like, okay, yeah, okay. And what's next?
The Egyptians are not African. I'm sorry.
Do you know where Egypt is?
Yes, it's in
Where?
North Africa.
Okay, stop. You stop right there. You just said that you said the Egyptians are not African.
Are white South Africans
No,
African?
wait. Yes, they are African. See, okay, to be African means you come from the continent of Africa. So if you come from the continent of Africa, that's who you are. So that means you're an African. So you do know. Do you also deny science that man originated from Africa, or do you say that's false science?
What are you talking about? I mean, what are you referring to?
I'm talking
Science.
archaeology. I'm talking biology. I'm talking science. In terms of the where did man originate? Where scientists, white scientists.
Egypt was an amazing civilization.
I didn't
It
say
was not created by black Africans. I'm sorry.
It wasn't. Who created it?
People who are white.
How are people?
You can look actually look at art, and they differentiate between races.
No, I got to ask you a question. How do you
from ancient Egyptian art?
You do know those were black people. You do know.
They weren't.
You do know from science you can't get black from white. You can get white from black. You do know when it comes to evolution.
What?
When it comes.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Dude, you never studied science?
I see what you're. Yes, I have.
No, so but
I mean, I'm not a scientist. Are you?
But man originated in Africa. Yes or no?
That is a consensus. Yes.
Okay. So if man originated in Africa, which means that they were Africans, then all of a sudden, when you talk about the amazing works of the Egyptians, they were people of color. I know that's a little rough for you to handle, but I know you want to hold on to that somehow thinking whites built the pyramids, but I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, we did.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't, because first of all, they were building things in Egypt while white Europeans were still in caves. That's a fact.
That's
a fact.
So I know that a lot of people don't have maps, and so this is Africa. And Africa is not a country, it's a continent made up of many countries. And these white lines represent borders. Australia, don't try to sniff them, okay? And this border wraps around a country called Nigeria. And I haven't been to Africa yet, but Nigeria is my favorite country in Africa. And the reason for this is because at my last job, I worked with a couple of Nigerian guys, and they were the nicest people I have ever met in my life. And so because of those two, I believe that everyone in Nigeria is an angel. So when I saw that Nigeria released this Korean-inspired movie called My Sunshine, I was personally touched. I was so touched to see such a beautiful union between Asia and Africa. But then reading through the comments, I saw so many of the other Africans make fun of Nigeria, and it hurt. I took it personally. I was like, no, leave Nigeria alone. No wahala! Then I was subsequently called out by all the Africans, including Nigerians by their own self-admission, that Nigeria is actually the bully of Africa. And honestly, that makes me like them more. You see, my family comes from a country called China, which is this big landmass right here. And China is the bully of Asia. Because sometimes we like to do this thing where we're like, that little island over there, I think that's ours. And then the other countries will be like, wait, why is it yours? And we'll be like, well, if you look at this scripture that was written like 4,000 years ago, it says that is technically part of China. And so that's ours. So bullying is in my blood, and I resonate deeply with bullies. And so I thought we could use the rest of this video to go around the world and identify where all the other bullies are. Now, Europe is easy because the bully is obviously France, and I know the Brits are like, oh, thank God it's not us. Oh, bitch, you were fucking close. You were a very, very close second. But the French just had to be a little bit more audacious. Southeast Asia, I know very well because I am actually kind of popular in this little tiny country right here called Singapore, which like you can barely see. And I'm actually even more popular in Singapore than Australia, but it's not as noticeable because they're just not as loud. And as someone who is very popular in Singapore, I also know that Singapore is the bully of Southeast Asia, a small country with a lot to say. And oddly enough, they actually have a very similar accent to Nigerians. Coincidence? I don't know. In South America, there is pretty unanimous agreement that the bully is Argentina. And I have been told that it's because there's a lot of white people in Argentina, and say no more. Say no more. As someone who has been dating someone of European descent, I believe you. I don't even need to see the evidence. It's definitely Argentina. I think Australia is pretty self-explanatory because when you look between these two countries, the bully is obviously Melbourne! Obviously it's Melbourne because they think they're so much better than everyone else. What has New Guinea done to Yar? Huh? And last but not least, we have North America. And obviously the bully here is me. Canada. And honestly, I don't even really understand why all these other countries have this one-sided beef with us. Why are they so obsessed? I don't even get it. Why do all these countries have the exact same thing to say about us? It's literally xenophobia. And every time they need help from us, they come crawling back to us like, help me. And that's why we install military bases in your country using my tax dollars. It's to save you. It's to be altruistic. It's to help you guys. And you guys don't even get it. All those drones that we dropped, you know how expensive they are? Huh? You know, we could have just dropped a bomb on you and saved a lot of money, but we did that to minimize casualties. Because we have something that all of you don't called empathy. We're literally the most empathetic country in the world.
What is going on with Africans between African Americans?
None of your business. In other words, black folk business is black folk business. To make it simpler, don't worry about the drama happening in a certain community that you're not a part of. We as black people, especially Afro-Americans, have been addressing the diaspora wars happening within our community, and that's for us to mitigate. And even if you're just genuinely curious, you asking that question is lighting a fire that we're already trying to extinguish. There are white people in the United Kingdom who don't care for white people in the United States. Inquire about that. There are people in France that don't like the way people in Canada speak French. Inquire about that. Across the world in different diasporas, there are many differences that groups have that stem from misunderstandings, but that's for those groups to figure out. And contrary to popular belief, there are a lot of Africans that don't have a problem with African Americans and vice versa, so don't generalize. And that's coming from an African American who's actually been to Africa, hence the shirt. So if it's not your community, don't worry about it.